Buenas. This is the You Live Where podcast. My name is Diego, and I've been an expat for 10 years now. Best 10 years of my life. I know that you guys at home, a lot of you viewers would like to do something like what I'm doing or something similar to what I'm doing. So what I'm going to be doing is having some conversations with expats, people who own homes overseas, or people who have been on the road for a really long time, so that I can provide you guys with some value and hopefully make your dreams into a reality if this is what you'd like to do. So this week's episode is with a gentleman named David. He's a doctor from the United States, and it's an awesome interview. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, welcome. How you doing?
Oh, great. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So, how did it happen that you would own a home over in another country? How did you?
Yeah, basically, like a lot of the people in this community, it was during the whole COVID lockdown, and we were very sensitive to it. I'm pretty libertarian philosophy, and I was very concerned with the government lockdowns. Plus, it was getting to the age of retirement, so we're thinking of doing something different. I always thought it'd be fun to live in another country. I'm Canadian, but I've basically lived in Canada, the States, my whole life. So we both thought, my wife and I, that'd be a cool opportunity to live somewhere else. So about 4 years ago, we heard about Nicaragua from somebody else and did a 10-day trip down here. And this was literally our last stop. We spent 2 days here. And kind of crazy in respect, but met one couple that we really liked by the pool, and kind of, again, not a lot of thought, well, we can do it, let's just buy a place here. And at the time, this community wasn't built at all, and decided to build it, or buy, and then kind of figured that we'll figure out what to do with it once it existed. It got finished this past October, so about 10 months ago. That was about the time I was thinking of retiring, so it was kind of an obvious choice to say, well, let's start there, because we have this home that just got finished, and I've been here since the end of May, and my wife came about a month later. She's been here since the end of June.
Awesome. Okay, and how did you come across Nicaragua? Just it was part of your traveling, and you did a 10-day thing where you're going places? Or?
No, what happened is there was a subscription called Dollar Vigilante. It's kind of a bit fringy, but also interesting. And a lot of the other things I was reading were talking about the need to have a plan B, just because you never know where you're living. You grow up thinking things could never change. I'll always be safe in my country. I'll always be the same. And both my wife and I were a little concerned that there were a lot of profound changes happening in the world. And we just wanted to have, as they call it, a plan B, just an escape route. It got mentioned in the newsletter. Ended up meeting the CEO of the company, and he has a lot of travel experience through Central America. So we met him for lunch, and I told him, look, we're just planning a vacation, no commitment. We just, go traveling. I've been to Costa Rica before, loved it. And he said to me, you guys are really adventurous type. Why don't you check out Nicaragua? I think you'd find it really interesting. It's like Costa Rica was, but about 30 years ago. So we talked about it, thought, cool place to visit. And as I said, we came down here for 10 days, and this was literally our last stop. And, we had in the back of our mind, we could buy something, but it really wasn't on the forefront. It really was meant to just be a vacation, just to see what the country was like.
So you fell in love with you came down in those 10 days, and what was it? What was that jumping point, the catalyst? You were like, you know what, let's pull the trigger. What was it here that did it for you, you think?
Yeah, it was probably a bunch of things. One, it just shows, what the State Department official reputation, because, we told my kids we were traveling with their kids, and, it's dangerous, but it's actually got it's really, really a safe country. Got very, very low violent crime. It's unbelievably beautiful. The people are really, really nice, and the community itself was this combination of, again, not everything from home, but we're living very, very nice. We have air conditioning, we have great Wi-Fi, we have a lot, toilets flush, the shower's got great pressure, a lot of amenities that you kind of get spoiled being an American and Canadian, but yet I'm literally right on the beach. You look out my front door and all you can see is the ocean. You can't even see another house. So it's unbelievable, and that's really hard to find.
That is really hard to find.
Yeah.
That is really hard to find. Okay, So tell me about that process. I mean, like building a house in another country, the legal, like, how did did that all go for you smoothly? Was that like how was that? Tell me about that.
Yeah,
How did you,
so
were you
for the
nervous? Was there an up and down part of it?
Yeah, there was definitely an up and down. So first of all, obviously there's two ways you can do it. One is you can buy a piece of land and then contract with different builders. That was way out of my league. So the only reason we went here, and there are other communities like this, it was being built for us as part of a community. So, just like a subdivision back in the States or Canada, you give them the money and the house appears and they give you drawings. It's supposed to be like that. So that was very much for me. There were very few options. There were a couple of options about backdrops, but for the most part, it was fairly cookie cutter. There were like 3 different model sizes. But beyond that, there wasn't a lot of things to choose. And then you really depend on the builder, but I didn't have to get involved with getting permits or finding a carpenter. It was, basically, you give us the money, this is what your house will look like. The only snafu we really had, which, is going to happen, is there was a period of about 6 months where things seemed to stop, and I wasn't getting great answers, which obviously makes you concerned anywhere, but especially when you're building in another part of the world, Central America. I was really nervous because I don't know what your recourse would be, but fortunately things started up after a gap of about 6 months, and the final product's really, really nice. They did a great job, and with any
really
new house,
is a beautiful home.
Yeah.
I mean, this is gorgeous, and like you said, this view it's breathtaking.
Yeah, it's great. And again, this kind of lifestyle isn't for everybody. We brought 2 dogs with us, but I walk on the beach every morning, every night before sunset. A lot of the times I won't see a single person, and on a crowded day I might see like 4 other people. So again, you have to like that. We happen to love that. There's other people that want a big crowded beach, like on Miami Beach, and they're not going to feel comfortable unless there's 15,000 other people on the beach with them. So, different strokes for different folks, but it really resonates with us. And we've really liked the people we've met so far in the community as well.
So within the community, you're saying, like in your case, you're retired.
Just retired.
Retired, and you live on the beach, and we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
What do? How do you fill your time? How do you?
Yeah.
Like you said, this is for some people. Some people it's not, and a lot of people at home are like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind in the middle of nowhere. What do you do? Why are you busy?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, the day goes by, and I don't know where it goes, and I've talked to other people living here, and they say the same thing. First of all, you could work. I mean, I've chosen to retire, and I may not stay retired forever, but for now I'm retired. Again, it's very interesting. I get up even earlier here than I do back home, and most people here are very much circadian rhythm. The sun gets up about 5, so I'll wake up generally anywhere from 4 to 5 to, on a late day, 6 o'clock. Well, it takes me a little while to get going, but usually I'm on the beach between 6 and 7 at the very latest. I'll walk the dog for 45 minutes to an hour. It's not so hot then, and which is better for me, better for the dog. Then we'll come home. I'll do some reading, and I'm Jewish, so I'll read some Jewish stuff. I started learning Spanish before I came down here, so I try and work on that pretty hard. A lot of people think, I'd be fluent by now. I've been here from 8 months, something like that. But there's a pro and a con. I mean, the community is all expats. So everybody here speaks English. Now, all the workers and stuff, of course, are Nicaraguan, so you can practice with them. But they don't really speak Spanish unless they leave the community. And the people that are bilingual here, which some of them are, not a lot, people that aren't from here aren't going to have the patience to want to talk to me in Spanish. So it's really only when I leave the community, go into town or talk to like the workers. But it's great because we've done little things. We've got our sofa, we've covered our chairs, and the gentleman that runs the little upholstery shop, he doesn't speak a word of English. And so it's great practice for my Spanish. And the people are really nice about letting you practice, and they encourage you, and they're very tolerant when you make mistakes. And so I work a lot on the language. I exercise every day, so I try and do intermittent fasting. So after doing some reading and stuff like that, around 10:30, I'll work out, putting stretching, somewhere between an hour and a half. Then I usually have lunch. And one of the things that's nice, the food's phenomenal here. Like you get unbelievably good fruits and vegetables, and almost everything here, if it's not organic, it's pretty close to organic. They don't have a lot of agro, big food farms here. I don't, because I keep kosher, I don't eat chicken or meat, but if I did, the stuff's super healthy because all the chickens are running around the road, they're all catching little bugs and insects, which is a lot better than the commercial feed. So the food's really healthy, so both my wife and I like cooking, so we spend more time preparing food. Because again, you're in a tropical place, you have to clean up right away, keep insects down. So we do spend more time cooking, which we like. And because I'm retired and have more time, I've tried to be a little bit introverted, but we've tried to have more people that we've met in the community over either for coffee or dinner. So socialize a little bit more at night. And most people, including us, generally, if I don't get to sleep at 9, they're usually in bed or relaxing on the couch by 8 or 9, and try and get to bed around 10 or 11, so I get up at 5 or 6.
Then it starts again.
Yeah.
All right. In your talking about the language, because you went into that a little bit, how's that been working? Have you had problems? Have you ran into something with the language barrier, or has it been easy?
It's actually, yeah, it's funny. When we first came here, we rented a car. I didn't know a word of Spanish, and that was a little trickier. Excuse me. But it's not been a problem. I studied it pretty hard for almost a year, so I could do like simple stuff. And I'm not good at language. I don't speak any other language, so it's definitely a work in progress. But you know, the people are nice. As I think everybody knows, on your phone you can put all these dictionaries, and then provided you get Wi-Fi, which doesn't, or internet, which doesn't always happen. I can make myself understood for most things. Again, most of the stuff you're dealing with aren't that complicated, so it's definitely helpful to know Spanish, although I know people here that don't know a word, but then they'll usually bring somebody that's bilingual with them, and there aren't a ton of people in this little community that they can hire, but there are definitely some. We're about an hour and a half from Managua, which is the capital, which is about 2 million people, and it's a nice distance because we're far enough from the city, we really feel like we're in the country. But the flip side of it is it's really nice because Managua is like a lot of big cities that have the equivalent of Price Club or Costco. You can get almost everything there. So most people, including us, we go about every 2 weeks to get because all the things you use in your house needs toilet paper, saran wrap, all that kind of stuff. And most food supplies are cheaper in the big city. So a lot of people, including us, will often hire a driver, and there's 2 ways of doing it. We have a car. I bought a car before I came down here, so we can hire him to drive your car, and that's very common. He doesn't speak any English, so again, it's great practice for me. And other people who don't have a car will hire a driver. It's obviously a little more expensive because of the wear and tear and the gas and stuff. And some of the drivers are bilingual, some aren't, so it's really depends what your needs are. But that's very helpful because you obviously trying to find parking spots and so on and so forth. So the language so far has not been a problem. And when we interact with government agencies, they've been surprisingly efficient, which I was really shocked how smoothly a lot of things have gone when I had to interact with government.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned friends earlier. How's meeting people? Are you lonely? Do you have a community? Have you had a hard time meeting people, getting to know? How's your social?
Yeah, people are, so again, just to give you a perspective, we're in a gated community, and although there's probably 250 homes built, I bet you there's only 40 or 50 people living here at any one time. So it's pretty empty, and it's spread over a pretty big distance, but there's kind of like common meeting grounds. There's, in my little community, there's like a potluck supper once a month, but everybody that's here, as far as I know, came either by themselves or with a partner. They didn't come with a bunch of friends, so everybody's really friendly. And although there's some similarity of some thinking processes, there is quite a lot of diversity within the community. People are, to their credit, is really tolerant. When we get into politics, people are all over the spectrum, just like they are back home, but they're much more tolerant here because there aren't that many people around. So there's kind of a philosophy. It's like a lot of us, we all got to get along, and it's really nice. So people are super friendly, easy to meet, and very nice. People are helpful. Like, there's a forum and people need something. People are really quick to help out, so it's really good.
Good. So it's a tight little community over here.
Yeah.
People working out. Awesome. Is it? Do you ever miss home?
It's interesting. As I said, I came down here in May. We're into early September now. And a couple weeks ago, we went back and visited my son who lives outside of Miami. And that was my first trip back to the States. And he's obviously just outside of Miami. It's a huge city. I don't miss it at all. I used to live outside of Washington, D.C. on a good day, it took me an hour to get home at night. Not infrequently, like an hour and a half. In the mornings, it's 45 minutes to an hour. So I was spending, 2.5 hours in traffic. I don't miss any of that. I don't miss the crowds. I don't miss the stores. Again, obviously, it's wonderful to see my kids, but I don't miss the States at all at this point or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes when I'm asked, I only say I miss three things, man. I miss my mother, my motorcycle, and live music.
Yeah.
But like, good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, differences, but how would you compare your cost of living here to at home? Obviously, it's a different thing, but I mean, just overall, like your
Cost of
overall
living here is so inexpensive compared to the States. Labor is really, really expensive. We have a lady that's great. We've hired her once a week. She comes in and cleans the house. She'll spend like 6 hours. We'll pay her $20, which back home obviously is minuscule. You can get massages at your house for $20 an hour. You can get any kind of landscaping, like all that stuff's inexpensive. So almost everything's way, way cheaper. I'm told if you buy a new car, it's more expensive. But we bought a used car, but again, I don't know what cars go, I just Googled it to compare to the States. The price was pretty much the same for used cars. I don't know enough to know about gas, but almost everything else, food's way cheaper. Obviously, things like saran wrap are going to be imported from the States. You're obviously going to pay more, but they're not bad at all. The best thing for us is that you eat super healthy, and it's way significantly cheaper here, and the quality's so much better, fresher. We rinse fish, which obviously is right out of the ocean. As I said, we don't eat meat, but it's customary when you hire I told you, you hire your driver, it's like 20, $25 a day to buy him lunch, and we went out for lunch, and my wife and I got something vegetarian. We got a huge steak, and I thought, wow, that was very considerate of him. His bill was like $6. It was less than my vegetarian was back home. I was paying 20 or 30, not more. So things are way, way less expensive here. So your money goes a lot farther, which is really nice.
Okay. As an older guy, you're retired, you're here. I'm sure healthcare is a genuine thing. It's a concern. I mean, how?
Yeah, fortunately, we're both my wife and I are super healthy. For now, I've kept up my Medicare back home, so if I need to, I can always fly back to the States, or I think it would reimburse me. But I did do some homework. As I said, we're only an hour and a half to 2 hours from Managua, depending what part of Managua. And they have some really good hospitals and really good care. We haven't needed, but we've talked to some people that have had investigations on the CAT scans and colonoscopies and stuff like that, dental implants, and they've all been extremely pleased with the care. So I think it's excellent. I don't know enough about the things like ambulance service and stuff like that, but I think if you need health care, you can get really good quality, and that's what's nice about this community here. God forbid they have a heart attack, 2 hours is a long time, but if you've got normal stuff, you can get very good treatment, and I know people have had some more serious illnesses. So even though it's, not as the first world, I think their medical care, if you can afford it, is very, very good, and of course a fraction of the cost of the States, because I know people pay them a lot.
So, all right, if anybody were thinking of doing what you've done, if anybody is in the United States right now, and you're like, you know what, man, I give myself a shot, I could go somewhere else, cost of living's better, I can make a good life for myself somewhere. Somebody's thinking about doing this.
Yeah.
What advice would you throw their way? What would you tell them?
Yeah, one thing I would do differently than we did, again, I have no regrets, but I would strongly recommend you go and rent in the community first to see if you like it, because, again, it's definitely not for everybody. There were a ton of people that have bought homes, particularly in this community, and they came down for a day, or a lot of times people didn't come down at all. During COVID, there was a lot of, anxiety over everything, so people bought it thinking this was kind of like being like Miami Beach, and it's not. You're still out in a third world country, and there's little things you learn and do differently. We learn things about landscaping, we bought a slightly different vehicle. So again, we fortunately had no disasters or anything close, but the advantage, of course, of coming down to rent for 6 to 12 months is you can see if you really like it. Because again, it's not for everybody. Your capital expense, of course, of renting is a fraction, and it gives you a chance to kind of feel it out, see what you like. Again, we live in a home that's, I think, around 1,000 square feet. There's homes in the community that are obviously a lot less expensive, and they're a lot smaller than 4,600 square feet. So there's people that think, oh, that's enough for me, and they get in it and they go, oh my God, you know, I'm used to my 4,000 square foot home estates, and they go nuts. And conversely, there's people that have bought lots and put up, you know, homes that are 5, 6, 8,000 square feet. So you really want to know what resonates. And again, I found the community friendly, but it's a small community. If you need to go to places with, you know, 60, 80 people, that's not going to happen here. So, you know, the advantage, obviously, of renting is it gives you a chance to feel it out, see if you like it, see if it resonates. That's the best advice I can give you, is then you have not put too much money at risk. We kind of did it. I mean, I'd say in retrospect, it was completely nuts, very spur of the moment. Wouldn't recommend it. Worked out well for us, but, you know, may not for everyone else.
All right, David, it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you, man. Thank you so much. That was pretty cool. David, I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to us. And for my viewer at home, if there's any questions you want me to ask some of my upcoming guests, just put it into the comments section and I'll get round to it. If you want more of this content, just give me a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.